Alright guys, today I'll be giving you a persuasive speech about implementing a stronger enforceable weeknight curfew for minors in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. For this purpose, I want to persuade my audience that Milwaukee should adopt and enforce a stronger midnight or weeknight curfew policy for minors to increase youth safety and reduce juvenile crime. I want my audience to support a citywide push for legislation that strengthens curfew enforcement for minors in Milwaukee. Milwaukee must enforce a stronger weeknight curfew for minors in order to reduce youth crime, protect children from victimization, and promote safer neighborhoods. In 2023, several Milwaukee teens were arrested for vandalizing businesses after midnight on a weekday, promoting community outrage, and there's just one question to be asked, like, why were they out so late in the first place? I want to persuade my audience that Milwaukee must enforce a more effective weeknight curfew policy, law to protect minors and reduce juvenile crime. I have researched Milwaukee's current municipal curfew laws and compared them with enforcement efforts in cities just like Green Bay. I've also reviewed juvenile crime statistics from the Wisconsin Department of Justice and the Milwaukee Police Department. Milwaukee's current curfew policy is outdated and poorly enforced. Strengthening policies can reduce youth crime and enhance public safety. First, I will explain the scope of the problem, and then I will present how a reformed curfew law can address this. Let's begin by understanding why late night hours pose a danger for Milwaukee's youth. One, juvenile crime and victimization increase significantly at night. According to Wisconsin Department of Justice in 2023, the Milwaukee County reported over 2,100 juvenile arrests in 2022, with major concentration of incidents occurring between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. Second, the Milwaukee Police Department in 2023 notes that violent incidents involving minors, including robberies, assault, are more likely to happen during the late night hours. Milwaukee's current curfew ordinance lacks enforcement and accountability. The city's curfew law, per the Milwaukee Code of Ordinance, section 106 to 123, states that minors under 17 should be home by 11 p.m. on weekdays, but this policy is rarely enforced and it's not enforced effectively. A 2023 Milwaukee Journal Sentinel report shows that police often don't issue citations and parents are seldom held responsible, weakening the curfew's deterrent effect. With the problem that is clear, there's a practical solution Milwaukee can adopt to address this. Milwaukee should strengthen and consistently enforce its weeknight curfew policy just by adding curfew hours, applying meaningful penalties, and involving both parents and community resources. Effective curfew enforcement in other Wisconsin cities reduced youth crime. In Green Bay, police enforcement of 10 p.m. weekday curfew for minors led to a 15% drop in juvenile crime per the city of Green Bay in 2023. The Urban Institute 2022 reports that cities with well-enforced curfews see lower rates of juvenile delinquency and nighttime victimization. A reformed Milwaukee curfew should be fair, targeted, and support by education. The curfew should be updated to start at 10 p.m. on weeknights, with exceptions for minors such as, working, attending school events, or being accompanied by the adult. The city should also invest in community outreach to educate, parents and teens about the purpose and the benefits of this curfew, rather than relying on fines or punishments alone, because that seemed to not work in the past. By taking these steps, Milwaukee can build a safer city for its younger residents. Milwaukee's weak curfew policy is putting minors at risk and allowing youth crime to thrive. A reformed, consistently enforced curfew would, reduce crime and help protect, the vulnerable teens that are out there in Milwaukee right now. Conclusion, I want to persuade my audience and support policy change by raising awareness and contacting local officials and promoting, better enforcement of curfew laws that are currently in Milwaukee. Every child, deserves to feel safe, especially on a school night. Curfew isn't about restriction, but it's more about responsibility. So let's take responsibility on that very seriously. And that is it. Thank you guys.